No, I just thought for once we were all on the same page. Yeah, no, I just thought that we all liked the movie. Then all of a sudden the internet was like, you thought I was kidding you? Okay. All right, welcome to Taste Take. If you're new here, I give spoiler-free movie and TV reviews. Give you a little background, just let you know if I think it's worth checking out or not. If that's something you're into, hit that subscribe button for your boy. Honestly, we're gonna do something different today. I don't even have a dad joke. Well, maybe there's a dad joke in here later. But I wasn't even gonna review this movie. But people on the internet are getting a little spicy about it. And I love spice. So let's get into it. Fun fact though, I actually don't like spice, like spicy foods and stuff like that. Like I always try to get like the most like mildest, tamest flavors because I really can't handle hot stuff. A lot of people say that it makes me not black, but I think that's offensive. All right, so let's just get into the controversy here. I'm not gonna waste y'all time today. We all know The Woman King just came off an almost $20 million opening weekend, hit #1 on the charts. The movie is receiving a lot of praise from critics, like super high Rotten Tomato scores, got an A+ cinema score. You know only 91 movies in the history of cinema score have gotten an A+, the last one being Top Gun Maverick, for those of you with inquiring minds. The point is, I thought we'd all be out celebrating a win for the culture, but I forgot one thing. We can't have anything nice. Shortly after its release, Boycott Woman King was trending on Twitter with all sorts of people upset that Hollywood would choose to glorify the Dahomey Amazons, also known as Agojie, instead of vilifying them for the brutal warriors they were that had a critical role in the transatlantic slave trade. Ooh, it's already getting spicy. Now, are they wrong? No. All African kingdoms participated in the slave trade in some form or fashion. The problem here is that the Agojie were like the LeBron James of slave trading. They like mastered it. Not now. Okay. But just like all things history, it needs a little context. Now, unlike everyone else on Twitter, I actually don't have my PhD in African history. But let me just see what I can do. All right, so real quick. Back in the 17th century, the Dahomey Kingdom was formed and was known as present-day Benin. And back then, the Dahomey people were ruled by the Yoruba Kingdom of Oyo. And let's just say it was not a healthy relationship. The Yoruba people were not very nice to the Dahomeys. They definitely wasn't treating them like the homies. Get it? Because I said like it's like the homies, like the homies. Jesus Christ. This is serious. Anyway, the Dahomey people would eventually become one of the strongest groups on the entire continent. Literally for the sole purpose of never being under Yoruba rule ever again. They made a vow, like, fool me once, bruh. Kind of like when you pick on your little brother, like his whole life, then he gets older and like starts going to the gym like 3 times a day, and then he becomes like 3 times your size just so you can't like pick on him anymore. It was kind of like that. So like now the Dahomey people were like, it was good, like, what's good? We out here. Like, nah, what's good? Nah, because y'all was talking crazy before, like when y'all was enslaving us, like, what's good? So it was like that. And you can see the Oyo Empire in the movies, literally how it starts. So when Naniska and her crew pull up on that group, they're just going to steal some of their people back that the Oyo Empire had already taken from them. So the main bad guy, he was the general of the Oyo, the Oba Ade, and that dude wasn't fucking around. So yeah, maybe the Agojie wasn't exactly like the Peace Corps, but you gotta remember the times. Like back then, slave trading meant survival of your group. You want horses? I'm gonna need some slaves up out of you. You want weapons? I'm gonna need some slaves up out of you. You want alcohol? All right, you get the point. Should the Dahomey warriors be glorified? Probably not. But do we ever try to put it all in context? Like think about how crazy a time it was to live back then and enslave people who turned into even more fierce enslavers. It sounds like a clear case of how not to deal with trauma. But that's like the 2022 therapist gaze. Like we can't keep trying to hold people of the 1700s, 1800s to our standards. Back then it was kind of like you had to enslave people to avoid being enslaved yourself. It's quite the fucked up circle. Back to the movie, and let me be really clear about that because it seems to be a point of contention where people are a little bit confused. It is indeed a movie. There's a lot of y'all are sounding like you signed up for a college credit when you just bought a movie ticket. You have to go to college for a college credit. Just a movie. And that's if they even watched it. And that's the worst part about this fake outrage. It's like a lot of people are kicking and screaming before they even seen the movie. For example, one guy tweeted, "Let's be honest, folk. It's the movie about an African tribe famous for selling slaves to Europeans that was made into a female empowerment story by two white women writers. You don't have to be very woke to see the problem here. Hashtag boycott Woman King." Sure, let's just forget that we got an all-black cast, an all-dark-skinned cast, a black music director, a black director. Shout out to Gina Prince-Bythewood. She's the one who did Love and Basketball and The Old Guard. But yeah, okay, cool. My man wants to talk about the white writers in the film. Let's talk about one of them. The only reason why this story was even made into a movie is because of a woman named Maria Bello. And she's an actress too. She used to be on ER. She was in Coyote Ugly. A whole bunch of random stuff. Anyway, in 2015, Maria travels down to Benin in West Africa to learn about the history of the Agojie. Later on that year, she's back in the United States and she was chosen to present Viola Davis with some award. In that presentation of the award, she tells the whole crowd of this great idea she has about a group of women warriors and how there's a woman king, and wouldn't it be so great to see Viola Davis as the woman king? So now the crowd's going crazy like, woo, that's on fire. That's what we want to see. And 7 years later, here we are. Also, like, shout out to her for shooting her shot in front of all those people, because like, now how are you gonna say no? Because the whole crowd already gassed you like, yeah, we want to see that. That's genius. That is creative. Anyway, now you may be wondering, what the hell is this random white lady doing in Benin, West Africa? The truth is, Maria goes to Africa every year, and she's been doing so for the last 3 decades. Remind me again, how many times y'all been to Africa? All right, okay, all right. I'm just asking you a question. I just wanted to know how many times, because she's been a couple times, like a lot, and because he came for her, but I don't know if he knew. The point is, just saying you got these white writers messing up the history, like, let's just try to understand who we're dealing with. Then people are all like, they're whitewashing history. Like, do you know what this movie would look like if they really wanted to whitewash it? I just don't understand what people want. Because if they made this movie like a documentary and they're like, all right, Dahomey warriors, Agojie, they're monsters, disgusting people, cutting off heads and stuff, selling their own people to white people. Yeah, y'all would be like, why they always got to paint Africans in such a negative light? So Tate, if they don't want Hollywood to take creative liberties and also educate us that groups of women like this did exist, but they also don't want to see a movie that showed them as a horrific part of history, how do you please people? Please people. No. You can't please people. Then people are coming for Viola and the rest of the cast and the crew like, well, maybe they just didn't do the research necessary before actually filming this movie. Like, if you would have looked up the Agojie, you would know that blah, blah, blah. First of all, the director of this movie has been directing movies longer than a lot of y'all been alive. You're telling me that you Twitter goons are doing better research than a Hollywood director. The facts about the Agojie are not buried. Like one quick little Google search, pretty much get all the answers you need. Viola even had to respond to the boycott controversy, and she said, I don't give a fuck. No, I'm just kidding. She said, first of all, I agree with Gina Prince-Bythewood saying, you're not gonna win an argument on Twitter. We entered the story where the kingdom was in flux, at a crossroads. They were looking to find some way to keep their civilization and kingdom alive. It wasn't until late 1800s that they were decimated. Most of the story is fictionalized. It has to be. Okay. Then her husband, who was also on the production team, he was like, it's history, but we have to take license. We have to entertain people. If we just told a history lesson, which we very well could have, that would be a documentary. That's what I said. We didn't want to shy away from the truth. The history is massive, and there are truths on that. If people want to learn more, they can investigate more. Now, what I will say is that if you only watch the trailer, it is a little confusing. Because when you watch the trailer, it comes across that like the Dahomey warriors were defending their people from being enslaved by the Europeans.
An evil is coming that threatens our kingdom, our freedom.
My king, the Europeans wish to conquer us. They will not stop until the whole of Africa is theirs.
So if I was an angry Twitter guy, I would be like, what the hell? The Dahomey people weren't defending their people from Europeans. They were giving their people to Europeans. But again, you got to watch the movie. It's a huge plot point. It's clear the Oyo and the Dahomey people were both very involved in the slave trade. It's just that in the movie, the Dahomey people are trying to go away from it. And instead of selling people, they want to sell palm oil, which is actually true. The Dahomey people did stop selling African slaves for a while just to sell palm oil as like a less inhumane, bartering system. But when they realized how much less lucrative it was, they pretty much went back to selling people. But it's still a little true. They tried. Huh? And again, in the movie, it's Viola Davis's character, Naniska, that's telling the king that, hey, maybe we should just chill out and stop selling our people. And Naniska is a made-up character, not based on anyone in history. So are you also mad that there was a made-up character? Like, I just don't know where you guys... Ugh. It's stress. That's how I deal with my stress. At the end of the day, Africa has a very complicated history, just like the rest of the freaking world. I can see why people will be confused or maybe even upset that the Dahomey warriors will be depicted as heroes when in real life they were more likely closer to villains. But still, these are movies written in the 21st century about things we're 3 centuries removed from. I can respect the debate, but I don't get the boycott. We complained for years that we only got casted and awarded for playing slaves. We complained when Denzel Washington couldn't win an award for playing Malcolm X, but got one for playing a crooked cop. We complained that they never made us superheroes. And speaking of superheroes, let's not forget that $1 billion later, that Black Panther brought us the Dora Milaje. And the Dora Milaje were, of course, based on the Agojie. Did people complain back then that the Dora Milaje wasn't on screen cutting off heads or selling Shuri into slavery? Or was the Black Panther just allowed to be a movie? I don't know if this is really a review, but since I'm here, I'm gonna give The Woman King 5 stars. Viola Davis is our present day icon, but I was a little nervous of what she was gonna do after Lipgate.
Really? John Edwards have Secret Service? What about John McCain, Mitt Romney?
Probably not.
Ugh. Hikey, I still need to talk to someone about that because I don't know why we let that happen. Like, is Michelle Obama, still friends with her? She's great here, but my favorite by far was Agojie, played by Lashana Lynch. Did y'all know she was British? Yeah, me too. The only small negatives I'll say about the film is I didn't really like how John Boyega played the king. It got a little better as it went on, but in the beginning I was like, he's acting kind of goofy. I didn't really believe it. And then the random love interest between Naui and that dude who was half Dahomey and half Portuguese. Come on, did they just throw that in there? And would she really risk getting kicked out of the group for smooching some random dude she just met? They can't have husbands or kids. Ugh, I just didn't need that. That's really it though. The movie has great action, great acting. The people and locations all look good. Shot in South Africa. It's like blackety, black. And it's a good story. And sometimes that's all it is. Just a story. Tusu Mbidu was a nice new star playing Naui, but did y'all know that her character was originally supposed to be played by Lupita? It's crazy, right? What's also crazy is that after making Black Panther, Lupita was so fascinated by the Dahomey people that she flew to Benin to make a whole documentary about them. Now, of course, we all know the movie's already out. Lupita is not in The Woman King, but the problem is it is giving all these new Boycott Woman King people more ammo because they think that after Lupita did that documentary and learned all the evil things that the warriors did, she dropped out the movie. I can't be a part of anything that glorifies these people. Now, for one, did Lupita ever say this? No, of course not. Why would the internet need facts to scream what they think? 2, did any of y'all even watch her documentary? No? Okay, cool. Because I did. And even though she does have some moments where she's like, damn, this is all crazy. I had no idea. It's some emotional stuff. The documentary doesn't even vilify them by the end of it. It just explains them kind of like how I explained them. It's complicated.
But what else can we do? You have to forgive. Otherwise, to keep that anger in you, it will make you sick and it doesn't help to survive.
How can you admire them?
I admire them because I can see that they're brave women. They didn't meant to be such a savage. Forgive me if I use the savage.
You're
You know,
welcome to, I think.
they were not born actually to be like that. They were trained to be. Now I can see that they were not even themselves when they're acting. So I cannot hate them, blame them. No, it's not the fault of the Agojie. That's a history. What can we do?
And if she really felt a way about these women enough to drop out of the Woman King, would she still really be doing Black Panther 2? Damn, it's like maybe she had like a conflict or like a family reunion or like a bar mitzvah or something. Or maybe she realized that, damn, like these women are terrible. Like I cannot be in this movie. I just know too much. Or maybe she was like busy. Or maybe she's like, damn, like these people, they were cutting off heads and drinking blood off of their swords. Or maybe it was like her birthday and she had to go to dinner and she couldn't miss the dinner because last year she missed the dinner. Or maybe she's like, damn, like they were really like enslaving other Africans. Like that's nuts. Or maybe when they were filming The Woman King, she was filming something else and you only can film one thing at a time. Like maybe she just had a conflict. It's so many questions. And if you avoid Twitter, you could probably find some good dialogue about it. But I will say, watch the movie first. The Woman King is out right now. Support our people. The movie is fire. As always, thanks for checking out Taste Take. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. In the comments, where do you stand in this debate? Where are we drawing the line between history and Hollywood? Thanks for the time, y'all. Peace.